On the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. I love myself a road trip. And hopefully all your May events such as graduations, weddings, all that is hopefully behind you and you have some spare time to plan your own road trip. Now, last week's episode, I talked about if you didn't have summer plans, how one of the things you could do was actually go on a road trip. So I want to talk specifically today how to plan a road trip and to get yourself prepared and encouraged for doing just that. Welcome to Solo Travel Adventures. I'm Cheryl Esch, your travel coach who loves to get on the road again. And I do plan to do that in July. But I want to help you plan your next road trip, or maybe it's your first road trip. I encourage you to consider road trips because they are actually something very easy to do. They can also be done very spontaneously. So if, say you didn't plan anything, any kind of trip coming up and you really want to get away, but flying last minute can be rather expensive. So hopping into your car, if you have a car, that is. If not, train travel is also a beautiful way to travel. But I'm specifically talking about getting on the road in a vehicle that you are driving. And I'm encouraging you to do this solo, especially if it is a last minute decision for you. So how do you decide where to go? Well, I want to have you just decide if you're going, first of all, clear your schedule and decide when. So pick a day, pick a weekend, or even a week if you have it. Doing one day or a weekend is perfect. It's not too stressful as far as the planning is concerned. So determining where to go, how far do you want to drive? Ask yourself that. How long do you want to be in the car? Is there some place you have always wanted to go to that is within driving distance? I would even make a list of places and then map it out and see how far each destination is. And that might help determine where you're going to go. For example, maybe you don't want to be driving in the car more than 2 or 3 hours a day. That may determine where you end up. It also determines, for example, getting out of Texas takes several hours. So if I were to tell myself, I don't want to be in a car more than 3 hours, I'm not getting out of Texas, to be honest. Well, unless I'm going north to Oklahoma, then I would get out of Texas. So it really does determine, depends on where you live, first of all, and how far do you want to travel. Maybe you don't like being in a car, but I love being in a car because there's so much time to reflect and think, catch up on podcasts and audiobooks and, listen to some great music and just sing at the top of my lungs when nobody else is around or listening. So those are just some reasons I love a road trip. I think there's a freedom involved in taking a road trip as well. And so maybe you've never done a solo road trip, and this could be your opportunity right here to decide to go and take a one day, a weekend, or even a week-long road trip. So yes, determine where you're going. Sometimes determining where you're going might actually be based on an activity that you were interested in. For example, I know many people will travel, they'll take a road trip because there's a festival that they want to attend. And so they drive there. It could be a music festival. It could be an arts festival. It could be a Renaissance festival, something of that nature, something that entices you, that you have interest in. There's other festivals, hot air balloon festivals. There's so many opportunities to, as I said in last week's episode, doing local adventures. Well, you could take it one step further and still consider those local type of ventures, but what is it, 2-hour drive from you possibly? Yeah. For example, there is a great Renaissance festival here in Texas. There's a few actually. I could go to 2 different cities, but one is about a 2-hour drive and one is about a 3.5-hour drive. So, those kind of things, see if there's something that interests you. Is there an antique shop you want to go explore in the next town over? Hiking. Is there a hiking trail that you're interested in, but it's a few hours away from where you live possibly? Take the time to, see if this could turn into a road trip. Maybe you just want to explore a new city. And these are all great reasons to take a road trip. Having that in mind, having that end point in mind, that purpose of why you're going on a road trip is always nice. But sometimes I just take a road trip just to take a road trip. But typically there is an end point and a destination that I'm striving for. And there's a reason I might be going to that destination. So the next thing you want to do, once you've determined where you're going, how long, how far is it going to be, when is it, clear your schedule, you'll need to make accommodations, of course. And even though it might be last minute, there are still many opportunities, different ways of accommodation, different types of accommodations. There are, of course, hotels. You might check Airbnbs. Those are typically, there's some that require at least a weekend. They won't do just maybe one night. So just be aware of that. You can go camping, whether you like to camp, whether it's in a tent. There might be some cabin camping available where you're going, or car camping. If you feel comfortable doing that, that saves a lot of money. There's also Host a Sister. It's actually on Facebook. You can reach out to people on that Facebook page and see if a sister will host you in their home. Now there's a couple. There's Host a Sister US only. There's Host a Sister 50 plus. And then I believe there's one in probably some other countries as well. But there's also a brand new app that I just came across. I just finished reading a book called Sherbert Skies, and it's about a young girl who does a solo adventure, but she has now developed an app called Her House, and it is where females will host other females, and it is a membership. It's an app. It's $25 a year, US dollars. However, the nice thing about the app is that she does require, if the person is hosting you, that they are background checked, so you feel more secure and you feel safe staying in that person's home. Throughout her travels, she actually stayed, her name is Tess, she stayed with many people in their homes, but found that as a female, we often want to feel safe in our surroundings. So she developed this app. So you can check it out. It does require you to have a membership to search out places, but also those Facebook places, just be aware those are not vetted. So you will have to do your own vetting. Maybe you have a friend or a family member in the place where you're going, or a friend of a friend, right? Often that's a nice way to find accommodation. So there's always ways around it, so do not make that your excuse for why you won't take a road trip. We all need to do one of these in our lives, at least solo. Now we get to next is packing essentials. When you are packing for a road trip, obviously you have your regular stuff, but there are some essentials that you want to keep in mind. I do have a road trip packing list that I will try to link in the show notes for you. But just to go over some of that, obviously making sure your car is ready for a road trip. Are your tires good? Is your oil changed? And that kind of stuff. Is there anything that might need to be fixed? That would be something that you want to make sure. You don't want to break down while you're on a road trip. I have had that happen. So you don't want to be there. So some other essentials, obviously, and I'll make sure I include this in those show notes. First aid kit, you want to pack a blanket, bungee cords, garbage bags, mace or bear spray, bug repellent, sunscreen, maps. I recommend also a multi-tool pocket knife, a portable jump starter. So this is, if you battery dies, you can actually jump your own vehicle without having another vehicle, which I found much safer because if it happened, then I wasn't relying on somebody else or waiting, but I also didn't have to worry about who was going to stop and help me, possibly, right? And jump my car. And there are lots of kind people out there, trust me. But this just made it easier. A portable air pump for your tires. It also has a tire gauge with it. Obviously, lots of water, as I mentioned, phone chargers, power bank, all those chargers that you might need, right? Now, I also pack food with me when I do a road trip. I try to pack a cooler. This saves money. You're welcome to eat out. But I always pack snacks, but I also pack a few meals that are things that I can, eat on the road, whether it's sandwiches or some sort of bean dip, something that is kind of quick and easy, and I keep it in a cooler. And I try to bring food that might last me about 2 days on the road without cooking. And then I'll sometimes bring stuff to make if I find that I might end up somewhere where I could use a stove. But always pack food, always pack water, protein bars, all that kind of stuff is important when you're on a road trip because there might be miles before you see places to eat, depending on where you're going. But once you're on the road, I want you to have fun. So some suggestions is to take your time. This is your trip. This is your time. I would say allow plenty of time for exploration. Don't worry about getting to your destination. Make sure you kind of, make sure you allow time as far as buffers. Say you're taking a 3-hour drive, but, give yourself 4 or 5 to get there. Giving you time to stop. You see something exciting along the road, please take your time. Don't be so rushed to get to your destination. This is when I have found the most exciting things when I've done road trips is the unexpected things I hadn't planned. Those have always been the most memorable. I also like to allow for rest stops, stopping and stretching, walking. I tend to not have a very strong bladder. And so really every hour and a half, I personally need to go to the bathroom or get up and stretch. So if you tend to be okay sitting for a long time, just make sure you're giving yourself enough rest stops and, breaks for yourself. You start to feel tired, please pull over. Be flexible overall, just flexible in your timing, flexible in your plans. They may not work out as you had hoped, and be open to new opportunities that you might see along the way. Now, I would also recommend before you hit the road, downloading any podcasts, audiobooks, music, or maps beforehand. Because again, you may get into dead zones with your, cell phone usage, and you want to have that available to you, especially any kind of maps and GPS. So where are you going on your road trip this summer? I would love to hear. I am actually headed to Austin, Texas, over July 4th weekend here in the U.S., and I have some fun things planned. I have my sister and a friend live in the area, so I will be visiting them. And I'm so excited. I haven't been to Austin in a long time, and I will share some of that stuff later. But it's a road trip. It's about almost a 4-hour drive. But I love that time in a car by myself where I can do some reflection. I can be praying. I could be listening to things, podcasts, like I mentioned. I like to catch up on those when I drive or when I'm flying. But it's a wonderful time, and there's such a freedom. I feel so free when I do a road trip, and I want you to feel that same freedom and have that opportunity. So don't make up excuses. I really would encourage you to take a road trip sometime soon. And if you haven't planned anything for summer, this is a great way to just kind of get out of town for a little bit and explore and have your own solo adventure this summer. Well, sisters, I'm going to be on a virtual travel summit, and it begins this weekend, June 7th and 8th, and then June 14th and 15th. So I will be speaking on June 15th and a panel for women talking about solo travel for women. So I hope you will listen in. You can register, and I again will leave the link in the show notes. It's called Freedom Fest, and it's by Infinity Land is hosting it. Wonderful lady. It is pay what you can type of virtual travel summit. So as you register, just keep that in mind, just helping to incur the cost of what Infinity Land has done. I hope you can listen in, not just to my panel, but there's going to be 35 plus speakers talking on travel, lots of things, nomadic life, everything that you dream of about travel will be on there. So go ahead and click the link and get yourself registered right now, because that is coming up. All right, sisters, we'll go have that road trip adventure, and I want to hear where you went.